Hi, welcome back to Basic Math. Today we're going to take a look at fractions, and we're going to do fraction basics. So we're not going to do any adding and subtracting or multiplying and dividing with our fractions today. We just want to talk a little bit about what fractions are. So, at their most basic, fractions look something like this. A over B, right? One number on top, one number on the bottom. The number on top is called the numerator. That's how many pieces we have that we're working with. And the number on the bottom is the denominator. And that's the total number of pieces that would be in one whole. So if you think about a pizza, okay, if you think about a pizza that's been, say, cut into 8 slices, 8 would be the denominator because it would represent one whole pizza. Okay, however many slices of pizza you ate, say maybe 3, would be the numerator. Okay, so the pieces that you ate out of all the pieces in one pizza. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of fractions. So here I have 3/4. Here we have 3 pieces that we're working with, and where there are 4 pieces in a whole. Now, 3/4 is what's known as a proper fraction, because the numerator, the 3, the number on the top, is smaller than the 4, the denominator, the number on the bottom. Now, with this second fraction, 7 over 5, this time we have 7 total pieces that we're working with, but a whole only has 5 slices. And so that's a little bit strange. Sometimes people are like, how can you have more pieces than are in the whole thing? Well, let's go back to our example of pizza. Let's say now we have 2 pizzas, each of which are cut into, 5 pieces, because that's a strange number, I get it, but that's what I'm working with this fraction. Each of which is cut into 5 slices. So, you go and you start eating, and you eat 7 pieces. Now, we could say you ate 7 out of 10, because that would be all the pieces for the 2 pizzas together. But it's a little bit more representative to say you ate 7 out of 5, because that tells us, hey, this person was hungry, they ate more than one whole pizza. And so we can have this, it's called an improper fraction. Anytime the numerator is bigger than the denominator, or even if it's the same size, we call it an improper fraction. All right, so next up, we're going to look at mixed numbers. All right, so let's continue on with our fraction basics. Now, mixed numbers. So a mixed number is a whole number and a fraction put together. Now, technically, it's addition. It's 3 wholes plus another 2/5. So what we want to kind of think about here is that the whole number is how many wholes we have. We still have these extra pieces for the numerator, and the 5 on the bottom is how many pieces each whole has. So in this case, what we're looking at is, probably at least 4 pizzas total, but you ate 3 wholes, you were really hungry, and then you ate another 2 pieces. So, yeah, it's a lot of pizza. Please don't eat that much. That seems kind of crazy. All right, but anyway, whole number and a fraction together. Now, let's talk about that a little bit more. The 3 wholes here, since our denominator is 5, that tells us there are 5 pieces in each whole. So since we have 3 wholes, that would be equal to 3 times 5, or 15 pieces of pizza. So in other words, we can think of this 3 2/5 as being the same as 17 over 5. Now, how did we get that? Well, since each whole has 5 pieces, 5 times 3 gave us 15, and then the 2 more. So we get a total of 17 pieces, where each whole has 5 pieces. And so this is an improper fraction, and that's actually how we're going to convert from mixed numbers into improper fractions, which will be really important a little bit later when we get into multiplying and dividing with mixed numbers. But for now, we just need to be able to make that switch. And so we'll do some more on the next board as well. Okay, so I have one more example of taking a mixed number and turning it into an improper fraction. 7 3/8. Now you can see I already wrote the answer down, 59 over 8. But all I did, okay, this is the process we use every single time we want to go from a mixed number to an improper fraction. Again, since each whole is going to have 8 pieces, We take our wholes, the 7, and we multiply by 8, and that gives us 56. Then we just add in the remaining pieces from the numerator. 56 and 3 makes 59, giving us 59 total pieces, and the denominator stays. We keep the 8 because it represents how many pieces are in a whole. In this case, obviously, we have a lot more than one whole, but that's okay. We can have that. Now, what about going the other way? So I have 60 over 7, and I want to change this into a mixed number. So first thing to note is you can see the answer here is 8 and 4/7, but note that the denominator doesn't change. Remember, the denominator is always establishing how many pieces are in a whole. So it doesn't matter if you have a mixed number or an improper fraction, the denominator is going to be the same either way. Now, let's see. So what did I do? I just did a division problem. You always take the top and divide it by the bottom. So in this case, 7 goes into 60 8 times. 8 times 7 is 56. We subtract and we get a remainder of 4. So what does that tell us? Well, 8 is the number of wholes because that's how many times 7 went all the way into 60. So we get a whole number of 8. And the remainder tells us how many pieces are left. So we get 8 and 4 over 7. And that's some of the fraction basics. We have one more thing to look at in this section. We're just going to reduce some fractions. And then that's going to be it for this video. All right, so let's look at reducing. For reducing, all we're going to do is divide the numerator and the denominator by the same thing. Yeah, and that's really all there is. So anytime we have a fraction, we want to get it in what's called its lowest terms. And the process we do to get it to lowest terms is we reduce. So when I look at 6 over 8, I am looking for a number that divides both 6 and 8. In this case, 2 is my only option. 6 and 8 are both divisible by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Second example, 15 over 35. They're both divisible by 5. Again, I divide them both. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 35 divided by 5 is 7. And lastly, here I have a mixed number. Well, here's my mixed number, 6 and 9/15. All 3 pieces here are divisible by 3. But it turns out the 6 doesn't actually matter. We're not going to touch the whole number. The whole number just stays because it's how many wholes we have, and we don't need to reduce that. So really, I just need to look at 9 and 15. Those are both divisible by 3. I do my division. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And I keep the 6. So now we have 6 and 3/5. And that's reducing. That's the basics. Sometimes it's really easy. None of these were too bad to figure out what you can divide by. Sometimes it's kind of tricky. And so hopefully you kind of get the hang of it. Feel free to use a calculator to help you reduce your fractions. Experiment with, let me divide by this number until you find something that maybe works. So anyway, that's fractions. That's the basics. In the upcoming videos, we're going to look at multiplying and dividing and then adding and subtracting. We'll have one more video thrown in there just for fun, and that'll be fractions. So thanks for coming.